Good morning, Jackednnerdy fans. Jeremy here with my non-spoiler review for Madam Webb. Before I jump into that review though, as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you guys never miss out on a video. And if you do enjoy our content, please make sure you give these videos a thumbs up. It is the greatest metric that YouTube uses when promoting our videos to other users, and it doesn't cost you a thing. So please smash that thumbs up button. We greatly appreciate your support. So, with that out of the way, let's get into it. So, Madam Webb. Full disclosure, I am not a fan of the Sony Spider-Verse. Morbius was a complete and utter disaster. The Tom Holland Spider-Man, I think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man that we've had to date. That's just my opinion. However, I do not put him and his casting, and I don't attribute his success to Sony. I contribute his success to Marvel and Marvel Studios at Disney. So I don't lump Tom Holland in the Sony Spider-Verse category. Again, this is just my opinion, but that being said, even like the Spider-Man comics and all of that, I've never been a big Spider-Man fan. He's just not my style, my taste, and I've never been a big fan. So when they said that they were going to make this Madam Webb movie, I really couldn't have cared less. It didn't really appeal to me. I didn't care this way or that about the film's success. So needless to say, going into this film, I had very tempered expectations. If anything, I had extremely low expectations for this film, especially how Morbius went. Also, I'd heard rumours that Sony Studios themselves had very little faith in this movie. The main contributor to that was the fact that the review embargo that they put on critics and people reviewing this film, they wouldn't let them release their reviews ahead of opening day to drum up more publicity and attention to this film. They basically put a review embargo saying that no one could release their reviews until the day of release. So to me, that just screams that the studio has no faith in the movie, because why wouldn't they want people getting their reviews out there to the public early to drum up more attention and more buzz for the film's release? So, with all of that in mind, as I said, I had extremely low expectations for this film. And given the way that studios have also been over the last 2-3 years with all of the woke agenda and feminist rhetoric and ideology and all of that, I was not really looking forward to this film. However, that being said, I was pleasantly surprised at how not horrible this movie was. Don't get me wrong, it's got plenty of faults, but that being said, out of all of the superhero movies and all that have come out over the last, let's just say 2 years, this definitely was not the worst. It was not the worst. As I said, like Morbius definitely was by far the worst, especially out of the Sony universe. But as a whole, I feel that Morbius was the worst superhero movie in the last 2 years. This by no means is a horrible film. As I said, it does have its issues. There are scripting issues. Like the dialogue is not fantastic. So if you're expecting Shakespeare, this is definitely not for you. Does it have elements of the feminist rah-rah, women are the stronger sex and women can do everything, and women are better than men and this, that and the other? It does, but it holds onto that until the very, very end, like not even 5 minutes. So you're not going to be beaten over the head with all of this, kind of political agenda and gender agenda and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to have it beaten over your head again and again and again throughout the entire film. So in that sense, it's good. So they definitely kind of keep that in the back pocket and what have you. The casting, I thought, look, all in all, I thought the casting was actually pretty good. Interestingly enough, probably the only casting that maybe they could have possibly found someone better is the lead, Dakota Johnson. I mean, I'm not super familiar with her work, and I'm definitely not a fan because I just don't know enough of her work. But I found her acting and her portrayal of the character to be very dull and very monotone and very just not very entertaining. I thought, out of all of the casting, I found hers to be the one that kind of let everything else down the most. If you've seen, I mean, to be honest, I haven't seen actually very much publicity for this film at all. I've seen one trailer that was released maybe 2 to 3 months ago, and that was it. Normally you get about 3 trailers leading up to a movie. I only ever saw the one trailer 3 months ago, and that was it. So, I mean, if you know the kind of the brief of it is that, there are 3 girls who become spider superheroes. The 3 girls that they cast in those roles, I think they all did a really, really good job, actually. I really quite thought they did quite well. Even though their characters weren't written all that well, they were very kind of one-dimensional and not very in-depth and all that. I found the casting and the actresses that played those characters to be quite good. But Dakota Johnson's lead was the one kind of failing. Adam, I've got to give props to Adam Scott, who was in it. His character and his, seeing him on screen, he was actually quite good. I actually enjoyed seeing him on screen. He did really, really well. I've got to give a shout out to Adam Scott. I enjoyed when he was on screen. He did a great job. Dialogue. I'll put scripting and dialogue in the same kind of category. Dialogue at times was not great at all. Casting on the whole was pretty good, apart from the lead, Dakota Johnson. I think they could have done much better and got someone much better in that role. The story as a whole, it's okay. I mean, it's nothing. Look, it's definitely nothing special or fantastic at all. Quite often I rolled my eyes. I think it was quite. I don't think whoever wrote it, I really don't think they put too much effort into the writing of it. Personally, right from the outset, there are things that just felt really off about it. And there are moments splattered throughout the film that just don't make sense, don't line up with the rest of the film. It's a little bit all over the place, but as a whole, the story itself is just not that great. Even the villain, the big bad, he's basically just very superficial. They don't go into any detail really about him, who he is, why he is the way that he is, how he became the way that he is, what his agenda is really. It just, it's just very one-dimensional and very superficial. So all in all, the story itself is really quite bad. As I said, the only reason why The only reason why I'm saying this movie is not horrible is because I could sit through it and I could have a bit of, I could enjoy, the simplicity of it and switch my brain off. I literally did not have to think at all throughout the whole thing. So that's the only reason why I'm saying it's not horrible. But it is in all, it is a pretty bad film in terms of all the things that I just mentioned. I mean, if you're just looking to switch off and not think at all, and you could get up and walk away at any time if you need to, this is definitely the film for you. Interestingly enough, so the screening that I went into, it was the biggest cinema in the whole complex. There was me and one other guy in that cinema, no one else. And again, funnily enough, the other guy got up and walked out halfway through the film, which is really interesting. So it was just basically for half the movie, it was just me in there, and the other half, it was me and one other guy. So I assume he didn't like it either. So as I said, look, it's one of those things. If you're just wanting to switch off and not think and not use your brain, fine, go ahead and see it. But all in all, I think there are many other films out at the moment that are much better and much more worthy of your dollars. So look, take that advice with a pinch of salt. If you are into the Spider-Verse and what have you, look, by all means, go and make up your own mind. Definitely go and make up your own mind. But if you're umming and ahhing, or if you know very little about the film and don't really care, save your money or spend it on a different movie. It's got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 15%, which I think is one of the lowest that I've seen in the last 2 years since I've been doing this. And it's got an IMDB score of 3.8 out of 10. So it's definitely a box office flop, in my opinion. And especially with a budget of 80 million, I'd be very, very surprised if it even makes that money back. So that's my thoughts and opinions on Madam Web. Funnily enough, this review's gone a lot longer than I thought it would have been. I thought it only would have gone for maybe 5-6 minutes. But hey, obviously I had a lot more to say about it than I thought. Personally, look, I didn't think it was horrible. I thought it was better than Morbius. But that being said, it's still a pretty bad movie. But if you're just looking to switch off and don't want to really think too hard, this is definitely one of those movies where you can switch off or even just have it play in the background while you're doing the dishes. Hit me up in the comments section below. Let me know your thoughts on Madam Web. I'd be interested to know if anyone else went and saw this film and what they thought. But so hit me up in the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. And I'll catch you at the next review. Stay jacked and stay nerdy.